Since 1934, Iowa's farmers have turned to the Iowa Farm Bureau spokesman as their trusted news source. Now, the Spokesman Speaks. Listen in and hear from leading experts on topics important to farmers and agriculture. Now, here's your host.
Welcome to this special three-part series of the Spokesman Speaks podcast. I'm Caitlin Lamb. This week is Iowa Farm Bureau's annual meeting in Des Moines. And during annual meeting, we'll be recognizing this year's Young Farmer Leadership Award recipients, Tanner Brass of Franklin County, Melissa Moretz of Worth County, and Clark Dolch of Adair County. During this three-part podcast series, you'll get to hear from each award recipient about their passion for agriculture and why they feel it's so important as a young farmer to step out of your comfort zone and into your community. So if you're not already, subscribe to the Spokesman Speaks in your favorite podcast app and watch for new episodes of this mini-series. Okay, let's head out to Franklin County to hear first from Tanner Brass, a farmer who keeps an open mind when it comes to opportunity and has a love for all things county fair. While we're out here on the Brass family farm, Tanner, thank you so much for having me out. I'm excited to learn more about you and all the things that led up to you being one of the recipients of our 2022 Young Farmer Leadership Award. So first, can you just start me off with telling me about yourself, your family farm, and your background in agriculture?
You bet. We farm right around Hampton here in Franklin County. We have a corn and soybean rotation. When I grew up, we had feeder cattle and did fair to finish with the hogs as well. I've since got out of that. Along with farming with the family, I also work for Case IH on the corporate level, and I cover the Midwest for precision farming sales with the local Case IH dealers and customers. Along with my day job, I also do run a custom business, which consists of custom land rolling in the spring, and then also custom anhydrous spring and fall that I run myself.
And you're also involved with the Franklin County Farm Bureau Board. Can you tell me about the roles that you have with the board and some of your favorite Farm Bureau activities?
Yeah, so with the local Farm Bureau, I've always been a Farm Bureau member since high school. Had some encouragement from others saying I should get on the board, I'd be good on the board and all that with the things I cover and my involvement in other places. So I eventually gave in, and from there it has kind of opened my eyes to the potential that is out there and ways that Farm Bureau can help us as farmers or people in ag even. From there, just was an active member for several years, helped out where I could. More recently, decided to do more with the Farm Bureau or locally. So I've since became our secretary of our board, and future plans of moving up to president within that. Have gone down to young farmers and saw the potential there, so opportunities that are out there for young farmers like myself and other Farm Bureau members. Helped out with the local breakfast battle that we do. That's something that our local Farm Bureau started several years ago as a way to promote agriculture during Ag Week. So what we do with that is have local businesses throughout town generate a team of 3 individuals. We have a predetermined shopping list for them. They go through on a timed course and grab those items, and at the end of it, we ask them ag questions or ag-related questions to be able to take time off of their total time. And then at the end of the day, we give prizes out for the first 3 contestants or teams. And then all the food that is picked off that grocery list is then donated to local food banks around the area and dispersed that way.
So it sounds like people in the community definitely already saw those leadership skills in you that you are being awarded for right now. But what have you learned more along the way through these experiences in being involved in your community and leadership? Why is that so important?
So with being a part of Farm Bureau, with leadership, it's helped me learn to speak up a little bit more about some policies where maybe I've thought that my opinion hasn't mattered in the past. I feel it's helped me open up a little bit on my own end. So through Farm Bureau, been able to meet other people much like myself that have a passion for agriculture and discuss things, see how things are working for them, where I can implement that on our own.
So you talk about these activities like the breakfast battle and other things that the County Farm Bureau are involved in. And in your young farmer application, your county president said, if someone thinks of Tanner, they think of the county fair because of his strong commitment. Can you tell me why that is?
So yeah, local involvement with the Franklin County Fair has always been a passion of mine. I would say where that seed started to grow there was back in the mid-90s when my dad was on the fair board. I was 5 years old at the time, and I got to see a different side of the fair, kind of a behind-the-scenes view of the fair, and ever since then it was just never the same to go to the fair outside of that. So when I turned 21, I was old enough to join the fair. It helped all the years up until then, but finally officially joined the fair when I turned 21, and had been numerous positions on the board throughout and helped around all aspects of that. A few years ago, we started up an Ag Learning Center, partnered with the Farm Bureau, and we have taken that from nothing to now a working milking exhibit, animals on display. We had a cab simulator there this year, and plan to expand on that here in the future as much as we can.
So it's funny because people talk about farms being multi-generational, and it's almost like between you and your dad, fair board members can be multi-generations as well.
Yeah, that's true. There's a few other fair board members on there as well that like either their dads or dads and grandpas have served on the fair board as well.
Now, I want to talk more about the Ag Learning Center at the county fair, because as part of this award, you are granted money to give to a cause in your county, and that is what you had chosen. So what are you hoping to achieve there with granting that money to the Ag Learning Center?
The reason I chose to put the money towards there is I feel that a lot of kids are not directly connected to a farm anymore and are not getting the on-farm education that maybe they once were several years ago. So we can go through and promote agriculture, give ag facts, information of that sort to help expand everyone's knowledge on ag and its surroundings.
When you talk about this Ag Learning Center at the county fair and having kids learn more about agriculture, and of course their parents are there learning as well, I'd love to hear if there's ever been this interesting question that you fielded from someone or something that you heard that you were able to share more about.
So with the cab simulator, I believe it's opened up some people's eyes of maybe the technology that is actually involved with farming these days. It's just not a matter of hopping on the tractor, going out and planting seed. It's so much more than that. We're down to 1-inch accuracy on everything, doing simulation with planters, stuff like that. So we're able to get higher and higher yields throughout to able to sustain the ag industry and keep up with demands that are out there. With the cab simulator, it stirred up a lot of interest with families, especially the young kids, where they could hop in, run the tractor, pretend that they're farming, and kind of get to have a little glimpse of what we deal with spring and fall of sitting inside the tractor.
And between farming and your other off-farm jobs, being with Farm Bureau is a commitment. And as a young person, why do you feel that it's worth the commitment?
Yeah, so of course it is a time commitment, and I am short on time, it seems like, but I feel it's been valuable to myself to just help increase my awareness of what's going on throughout the ag industry, the farms and all that, seeing what others are doing out there, but also just being a leader in the community, stepping up, putting in my time, helping out where I'm able to, when I'm able to, and hopefully be an individual that, say, a younger version of myself would look up to and say, hey, I can make some change, I can help out, and I want to be involved.
I mean, as you know, sometimes being a leader means showing up, seeing what the need is, and how you can fill that need. Can you tell me about some of the things that you've done in your community where you've saw something, you've rallied around it, and it got up and running?
Yeah, so one of the things at the fair, we have our convention center where people have weddings and other things like that. It was getting to be dated, and we knew that we needed to do somewhat of a total overhaul on it before it was too far gone. So the fair board started a fundraising campaign for the convention center, and as a board we went out, fundraised money to cover the cost of the whole renovation there that we had. And as board members, we were able to go out, talk to individuals in the community, tell them why we were doing it, and felt good about doing it in order to help carry that project along. Another thing that we have done, or I have helped with in the community, is we decided to get a Iowa corn group in Franklin County to support the presence of corn within the county for ourselves and local growers.
Not only are you farming with your dad and your uncle, but you have your off-farm job, but you've also mentioned that you have a custom farming job where you apply anhydrous and do rolling. And I thought it was so interesting when I was reading about you to hear you say, at the end of the day, I might not be farming more acres, but I am adding more value to my operation through these experiences and all these different roles. So do you have any advice for young farmers who, they do want to take over the family farm, but it's just financially not the right time?
So growing up, I always wanted to be at the farm full time, if possible. That was always my view, is that I'd get done with school, be able to be back on the farm full time. Unfortunately, we don't have the acres to justify me being here full time, so I've had to have off farm jobs ever since school, which has been good for me. Opened up a lot of avenues, opened up my mind to a lot of things, but still in the back of my mind I've always been trying to think, how can I get back to the farm? How can I justify myself being here full time, until that point comes where I'm able to take over. So actually a good friend of mine is the local agronomist here in town. We were actually Snapchatting one day on a rainy day, and conversation of custom anhydrous came up, and kind of a light bulb went off in my head, thinking here's an opportunity for me to have a possibility to go and buy a tractor, be able to use it at the farm, but then also get additional income off of that, so I can justify that with the few acres that I do have, and not relying on someone else's piece of equipment as well. So that kind of triggered that and turned out to be a good business for myself. And then with the custom rolling, that started up a few years ago, where we were renting a roller from someone else, and the times that we wanted to use it, it was busy. So I saw opportunity there where we should probably buy a roller, that way we're able to do things when we want it, but then take it the next step further and offer that to be rented out, since I felt that there was a need in the area. And after the first year with 2 rollers, I have since expanded that to 4 rollers. So if I can give advice to anyone on that, I'd say don't be afraid to take a chance on things, maybe push the envelope a little bit, try something new. And we've all been there where some things work, some things don't, and at the end of the day, you don't know until you try.
So not are you only being recognized on a statewide level here with the Young Farmer Leadership Award, but you've also been highlighted at a very national level, being in a Super Bowl commercial. Can you tell me about that experience?
You bet. With Case IH, we started a promotion a few years ago of Built by Farmers. Case IH actually has a lot of employees that also farm on their own as well, outside of their day job with Case IH, much like myself. So in that campaign, they were looking for individuals that work for Case IH, work for farm, part of a family farm, and can kind of tell that message. So yeah, with that, I was able to be highlighted on a Super Bowl commercial, and then also have had radio ads that have aired all throughout, talking about why I became a farmer and why I had the passion for it, and all of that information.
So after that aired, was your phone just blowing up with people, I saw you on the Super Bowl commercials?
Yeah, so we shot some of the stuff, say in July, and then, didn't hear much about it. And then all of a sudden, a few days before, it was like, say, a Thursday or Friday, all of a sudden the email came out and said, oh yeah, by the way, we're doing a Built by Farmers commercial, and it's going to be aired during the Super Bowl. So of course I was pretty ecstatic about that, and I really wanted to blast it out there to everyone. But at the same time, it's like, what if this doesn't actually happen? And I've told everyone that I'm going to be on there, then all of a sudden I'm not. But yeah, right after that, all of a sudden my phone started blowing up, and a lot of texts or screenshots, stuff on Facebook. People are tagging me and of course giving me a hard time about it, and still get it to this day about being a local celebrity here. So.
So obviously that's something that's really cool and something to be proud of, but I am curious, what is the number one thing in your ag and farming career so far that you are most proud of?
I would say the family farm is probably the thing that I am the proudest of, just simply being able to be that next person to take it over, carry on the legacy that we have in the area, carry that torch of the farm that my dad, my grandpa, and all them before have carried.
So I keep hearing you mention family farm legacy, and I can tell that's something that's really important to you. So what is it that you hope will be your legacy?
So with the farm, first of all, we're trying to be on the leading edge of everything, to be upfront on stuff. We have to be profitable and able to carry on the farm, but also there has to be a farm to be able to pass on as well. So we're making sure that we're doing our best practices that we can to maintain the soil, the health of the farm itself. That way that 50, 100 years from now, we still have good fertile soil that the next generation is able to farm and make a living off of. Some of the practices that we use on the farm to make sure that we're able to hand this down to future generations is water management. We go through, tile the fields that we need to, take care of the wet spots where needed. We also have waterways, filter strips along the creeks. We do have some fields with terraces, even though we are in north central Iowa where it seems to be flat most of the time. So we try to implement tillage practices as well where they fit. Not so much where it's not suitable for that. We also go along and do soil sampling every so often to make sure that we're keeping our soil up to spec of where we want to have it. That way we're maximizing every acre that we are able to. Along with that, we also have a lot of technology on the farm between the combine, planter, tractor, stuff like that. So we're able to go and manage every acre as close as we can to make sure that we're getting the best output off of that, making sure we're placing the right seed in the right area, the right amount of nitrogen on the right soils, and everything else. That way we're able to maximize what we offer here.
You've talked about all these things that you're involved in. What advice do you have for other young farmers looking to get involved like you?
Yeah, I would encourage the young individuals out there to maybe step outside your comfort zone, to give something a chance and just try it. I know when I first got on the Farm Bureau board, I wasn't sure if I should even be on the board because I didn't feel like I was adding a whole lot of benefit. I just kind of went with the motion. As I got more comfortable on the board, I started volunteering for more things, helping out, throwing out ideas, stuff like that. So it doesn't matter, we all bring our own skill set, our own mind, our way of looking at things, and the way you think about things might be exactly what your board or your local organization is exactly needing.
I'm excited to see what other opportunities Tanner says yes to in the future, and if he'll be in any more nationally aired commercials. That's it for today's episode. Remember to tune in tomorrow and on Wednesday to hear from Melissa Moretz and Clark Dolch. Thank you for doing the work that inspires everything we do here at the Iowa Farm Bureau, and thanks for listening to the Spokesman Speaks.
Thank you for listening to The Spokesman Speaks, a podcast by Iowa Farm Bureau. Check out more podcast episodes at iowafarmbureau.com/podcast. You can also find and subscribe to the Spokesman Speaks podcast in the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and other popular podcast apps. We appreciate your ratings and reviews, and we welcome you to email us your feedback at podcast@ifbf.org.